Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera video, and today we're going to do a Should You Pull on Dark Knight Cecil. So we've got Dark Knight Cecil coming out in just a couple of days here, and he's coming with an FR BT, and then we are also getting a banner with Cloud BT, and Cloud is getting a rework here, so I know a lot of people are hyped for that. So one banner is going to have Cloud Auron in sync, and the other banner should have Dark Knight Cecil, Leon, and Quistis. Now, the thing I'll say straight up about these banners is there's actually a lot of value in some of these side characters, especially as like low invest characters. So I think there is going to be some value there. And then the main characters are also very solid. Overall, I would say that these are still probably skippable for most players. But like I said, I think there's a lot of value here. So let me kind of talk about the characters, and you can decide which banner would be right for you if you want to pull right now. But I'd say if you're low on resources, this is probably, we're in a nice period where it's probably a pretty good time to save for a while, because there isn't like huge mega hype coming for a while yet. So we're pretty good here. But on this banner, I'd say Sync is probably, I would say of both banners, yeah, Sync is probably the worst character here. Sync is just known, she does have some delay and she does really heavy damage, but she's super slow and delays herself. So typically you want to pair Sync with like a turn manipulator, which we have gotten a lot of those recently, right? And you might have a character like Rem in your back pocket where you can abuse it. The thing is there's been so much power creep in terms of damage that like Sync's damage isn't even, I would say, top tier anymore. And so to like waste a team setup to try to use Sync and bring a manipulator to like bring her up and use her a lot, like isn't worth it when I can just bring Pinello and blow everything up for free, right? So Sync is definitely not worth it in my opinion. If she's a big favorite, though, you can give her a try, but she's just a clunky, really slow character that has some delay is what she is. Now, Auron, I think Auron, like, flat out could just be the best character on both of these banners, like, regardless of BTF or whatever. Auron is a freaking monster. I would say if you are lacking a tank, like, Auron's almost a must-get. Like, he is so good. I'm actually surprised I haven't blued his armor yet. I probably should, because this man is really good. Especially if, like, you've seen my defense comps and you don't have, like, Gladio. He definitely fits in that, like, Gladio slot. So if you don't have Gladio and you're missing, like, a top-tier tank, like, dude, get Auron. And he's super high value because he's low invest also. He's just an LD-only character. You don't have to blue his armor for him to be good. Like, just very low invest, very good character to use. Really good counter-tank character that he helps keep your party safe. He's going to be doing counter-tank things, which are very good in FR. He's just insane. So, like, yeah, Auron, he hasn't missed a beat. He's really good. I've used him very recently, and he does his job very well. He's a great character. I can't say anything bad about Auron. He's good. Cloud. Cloud has always been a very interesting character. So he's a DPS character, but does carry some nice utility. So I do like him. You know, I definitely am going to like him more than, like, say, Astrago, who's just basically damage and doesn't really do a lot else for the party. Cloud has delay. He's got launching, right? He does put up some good numbers, especially with this rework. So I am really liking Cloud. Now, the big thing with Cloud, though, is a lot of players probably won't need him. One, because he's one of the most hyped characters in the Final Fantasy franchise that if you've been playing the game during any iteration of this guy coming out, you've probably already pulled for him. And even if you're a brand new player, he's on the Start Dash banner, and a lot of people try to get him on their Start Dash draw before they, like, commit to the game or whatever, right? Or they might redraw for him. So the one reason not to pull is a lot of you probably already have Cloud built. But if not, like, this banner, I can recommend solely based on the fact that Auron is there, and Cloud is a good enough damage dealer and has enough utility that he's a very good character. And you can see mine's green-blue, like, I full invested in my Cloud. And I don't think I'm going to redo his showcase unless his rework seems like significantly insane. But like my last character guide of him should still be relevant. Like none of his actual functionality is changing. It's just his numbers, his brave dumps, that's all going to get better, right? He's just going to be outputting better damage, but nothing functionality-wise changes with his kit. Now later on, Cloud will get an FR. Then we'll talk about him again in terms of doing a character guide. But I would say Cloud, he's kind of like Gabranth and Renoa, where he's just like a really nice return character. He does get more of a rework than some of those characters, though. Because I don't think Gabranth or Renoa got reworks here. But like Cloud's actually getting a rework, so he's going to have more competitive damage. So just keep that in mind. But if you're familiar with Cloud, he's going to do the same things he's always done. It's just he's got better numbers now. So once again, the main thing is he does have some delay. He does have some launch. And he's going to put up some pretty decent numbers, right? Okay, so other banner, we've got Quistis, Leon, and Dark Knight Cecil. Now, these two side characters, Quistis and Leon, they have a lot of value. They are actually very good, low invest characters. Quistis is what you would call the queen of delay. The unique thing with Quistis, like almost every button she presses delays. She has one of the biggest delays in the game, in that I think one of her skills is a 4-turn delay, which is pretty huge. I think the only one that could top that is Anna Crow with her EX in the right setup. But otherwise, Quistis has the biggest delay. The really unique thing about Quistis, which is awesome, and I'm glad that the devs did this, because, you know, Quistis' whole kit revolves around delay. Like, that is her shtick, right? But they know that a lot of fights negate delay. Like, it's pretty common to see frame turns on the enemies. Well, what they gave to Quistis on her last rework that's really nice is that her delay works even if the enemies negate it, basically. So even if the enemies have frame turns and they can't be delayed, she ignores that and she will delay anyways. So I did talk about this I did a video about calls. Her call is a very valuable call because you can just have her delay as a call. But her in the party as like your slot 3 character, if you're going for a no-turn strategy, she's very, very good. And her EX is like ultra mega fast. So that's like her main damage attack. And then in between, you're just delaying like constantly. So Quistis, very good low invest character. Leon, same thing. Now, Leon is a character I personally haven't used much. But just from what I've seen from other players and basically when I hear how community members talk about him, Leon is fantastic. He's basically a really crazy, insane tank in a very unique way. The thing with Leon is his whole gimmick can get locked out of many fights very easily, right? So that's the one big flaw with Leon. But his gimmick is this. He basically enchants the enemies for dark, which is rare. Like, you never see that. You don't ever enchant the enemies, right? He actually enchants the enemies so that the enemies always do dark damage. And then he makes it so that your party absorbs dark damage. He turns your whole party into Celis, essentially, and they're just absorbing everything. Now, you might say, well, that's amazing. Why don't people use Leon on every single fight? Well, the reason why is it's not a true enchant. So his enchant will only work if the enemies are non-elemental. The problem is a bunch of enemies in the game carry an element somewhere. So he only works on completely non-elemental enemies for the whole fight. But if you have that, if it works, he basically cheeses the fight. Like, you cannot take damage. Like, he's a cheat code. So if you like the idea of just having that for the utility, like, Leon's kind of a cool pickup, right? Then we have Dark Knight Cecil. So Dark Knight Cecil getting a big rework here. He's getting his BT and his FR. Now, I personally, and I've said this before, I am not a fan of Dark Knight Cecil, mainly because I don't like characters that rely on being low on HP. I don't like characters that damage and hurt themselves unless they have like a safety net. Now, Dark Knight Cecil kind of has a safety net, but it's not like Auron, right? Like, Auron just can't die, so I don't mind that. Even Jack, he puts himself down to 1, but he has 100% evasion, and then he basically heals up, right? The way Dark Knight Cecil works, and the reason why I don't like him, he's a constant balancing act of your HP. And what it is his skills get better the lower your HP is. He kind of has a threshold where, like, as long as you're not at full, he gets a threshold where, like, his skills get better. And then if you're under 50%, they get really, really good. But then, to give him his safety net, he has Last Stand. And normally Last Stand only works if you're above 50%. And Last Stand is where, like, if you take lethal damage, you survive with 1 HP, right? Well, Dark Knight Cecil's Last Stand works above 20%. So that's a nice little safety net they give him, right? But he also has a lot of attacks that heal himself. You might have a party regen or something going that heals. So it's this constant balancing act of, all right, I got to keep my health within this threshold to be at the best. Oh, but I'm almost going to die, so now I got to heal. Oh, wait, but now I'm too high. Now I got to drain more HP. I just don't like the HP management of the character. So I'm not saying he's bad. Like, he's going to put up insane numbers. And looking at, like, him with a BT in his own force type, he's going to put up unga bunga damage. He's going to be a top tier damage dealer. I just personally, I don't like the HP management, and I don't like having to think about that. That's just me personally. Not a fan of it. But in terms of his FR is pretty easy for himself. It's very easy for himself. It's basically, you want to be at low HP, and you want to use dark damage. And his FR, the HP gauge uses the condition where, like, as long as you're under, I think if you're just not at full, you get 20%, I think for dark, it's 20 or 30. And then I think you get like 20%, I think you get 30 for dark. And then I think it's like 20 for being under 100% HP. And then you get like another 20 if you're under whatever. I think in total it ends up being 60 or 70%. It's kind of like an okay-ish, you know, like 70% is kind of the standard. But I don't know. It doesn't synergize great with the rest of your team. Like, I think he does do things to lower your party's HP, kind of like what Renoa does. But I don't want to put my whole party in danger for them to work with the FR. And Dark Enchant isn't an easy thing, and I believe he only enchants himself. He doesn't enchant the party. I could be wrong about that. But, like, the fact you'd have to bring, like, a what's-his-face, a Zande call to enchant for Dark, right? Or something like that. Like, his FR, I think, is just going to be very difficult to use with other party members. Unless you're like Leon. Like, Leon's inherently Dark. So he's going to get it pretty easily. And so, the reason why they pair Dark Knight Cecil and Leon together, they're a very good pairing. Because Leon's going to do the dark damage that we need for the FR. And with Leon in the party, I don't feel bad about being low on HP because I'm absorbing dark damage, right? So I don't have to worry about damage. And it's part of the reason that Auron's included here too, is a very defensive teammate to help you like survive stuff. So that's why they're kind of putting this pairing together. But for me, like Dark Knight Cecil, he just feels a little clunky to use. He's a character where I feel like you kind of need to build the team around him and use his BTFR as the main one. And where I'm at in the game, I've got Jack Garland, I've got Renoa, I've got Tifa, I've got Pinello. Like, I've got all these other good, like, self-sustaining BTFR options that are top tier that I just don't feel like I need Dark Knight Cecil. Now, if you're a fan of him and you build him and you build a team around him, you can put up a crazy FRBT phase. Like, I guarantee you that you can make it work. Because he's got self-launching as well. So he's going to self-create launch during his own BT and help do a lot of damage that way. So Dark Knight Cecil isn't bad, so don't get that twisted. He's good, but he's not my cup of tea. I don't like managing the HP constantly. But what I would say is, for me, I'm a bigger fan of actually the side characters here than even the main ones. I personally like Cloud more than Dark Knight Cecil. Dark Knight Cecil's, though, right now, he's going to output probably better damage than Cloud because he is the new FR character. But Cloud getting the rework's looking nice. But, dude, to me, Auron is the best character of the batch, like, hands down. He's the character that, one, is low investment, and two, over time, you're going to use him more than these other characters. Because guess what? You're going to use Dark Knight Cecil for, like, a week or two when his damage is looking good. And then at some point, you're going to be like, well, why don't I just bring Pinello? Or I've got a damage dealer that I don't have to manage their HP and they're just easier to use, right? Like, you're going to have fun with Dark Knight Cecil for a couple of weeks, but I guarantee you, like, in the long run, you're going to be using characters like Auron, like, way more. So, to me, if you're going to summon at all on these banners, I would just hop in and grab Auron and, like, say, yeah, I've got a really good defensive tank right now, and I'm living it up with that unit. So, anyways, guys, you can let me know if you're going to pull or not. I don't think I'm pulling at all. I might pull a little bit because I might be cap at tickets when this drops. Maybe I'll throw some tickets at it, like maybe a couple hundred, but I'm not really planning to pull seriously on this banner. So you guys can let me know if you're going to pull or not. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.